How do you feel about sex before marriage?
Yeah, so as I said before about sex before marriage, I feel like in today's times, as people are getting married later on in life, like within their mid 30s, and us trying to find ourselves as human beings and become a career person from 18 and all the way through your 20s, it's gonna be impossible for any of us or anybody to probably wait until marriage because things aren't how they used to be back in the day when my grandparents and as well as some people else listening got married at like 15, 16. But just like the peak of when they were trying to reproduce as human beings, and it made sense. But to, think that that's going to happen in these times, for me, it's kind of like if someone does say that they're a virgin at 25 or 30, they're probably going to end up being a weirdo to somebody out there, or they may not have enough experience to hang with the person that has many partners. But I will say, no matter what, people do stick to their guns and what they believe in. They could find somebody that could adhere to it or agrees to it, depending on what social circles that they're in. But depending on where you're at and your and the environment that you grow up in, I think that that'll probably be nearly impossible to do. Like me growing up as a young man in the inner city of Los Angeles, we had a lot of pressure on us to lose our virginity, to have sex, even though I was raised in the church at the same time. So it was like, okay, I know what God wants, but society and the temptation and all the lust going on and women, you're probably gonna you're probably gonna be in a lose lose situation. So I would tell the young men that I know growing up to protect yourself, find one woman if you are gonna do that, and make sure that you're safe at all times.
So for me, I believe that sex before marriage is going to be a problem in the sense of that the individual seems to value themselves based on um, who they have sex with. And there has been, it opens you up to diseases, pregnancy. It also opens you up to um, connecting with individuals in a way that was not designed. Because if it's an individual that's not your spouse, then you have forsaken what it is that if you look at any religion, there's not, I don't think there's any religion that is okay with sex before marriage. So even if you wanted to try to make it a religious conversation, there is not one that really says, you know what, I think because of what society is going to do, then that's what we should do. And so the situation that we are in and face today, sex outside of marriage has caused there to be a lot of trauma, a lot of baby mamas, a lot of daddies that are outside of the home, a lot of fatherless homes. And then it also has affected kids in a way of which how is it is that they learn. It also is said to by the third grade, if that kid is in a fatherless home, that's how they decide how many jails they build. So to say that that a person should be able to have sex or just because everybody else is doing it, I think that that makes it a problem. Unfortunately, I'm aware of that. What it is now is that people are having sex before marriage, but in my estimation, it has not been beneficial to any community that has elected to do such a thing. Will it happen? Yes, but however, that should not be the standard.
All right. Well, I do think that he mentioned two opposing arguments that don't necessarily relate to each other, especially like the single parent homes and marriage and things like that. Like that's a whole nother topic and a battle that's of its own because the divorce rate is super high, and just because somebody gets married does not mean that they're going to stay together. I mean, we all know that by now. So I could sympathize with that, but I don't think that's the cause. I do think that people can have premarital sex and get married and start families. That has happened. I mean, my parents still married to this day. I know a lot of married couples, but I also know married couples that also have got a divorce. So yeah, that's all I pretty much have on that. I do understand that, if we did it that way, like, marriage, well, sex and then marriage, the world will be a better place. I can sympathize with that, but I cannot say that that is possible in my lifetime because I haven't seen it. I'm not even sure if it's possible in my children's lifetime. But I do know back in the 50s and the 60s that was just the norm. Like both of my grandparents on each side were teenage parents, you know. But now, if a woman has a baby at 18, it's looked at like what? Oh my God! But back in the day, that was just a normal thing, you know. So I feel like sometimes we're stuck in the old school ideologies and the way of doing things. But I feel like nowadays, since society and everything is shifted, we do have to adjust, and we also have to be realistic about the times that we're in. So I'll just leave it at that.
What we have seen as it relates to sex before marriage, if you look at back in the time that it seems like you're reflecting on, the individuals, if they did get pregnant, they called it a shotgun wedding, right? And the reason why they did a shotgun wedding is because they understood that the man and the woman of that child needed to be together, and as a result they stayed together for the sake of the child. And so as we fast forward to nowadays, to say, well, if you're 18 and you had a kid, it's surprising. That's true. However, they are not in the position of where, you know what, since you had a child with this dude or with this woman, that y'all should go ahead and be together for the sake of the child. Because every study that you can look at shows that when the child is growing up in a household where the mother and the father are in, they are going to be more of a holistic child as it relates to, as I said before, all the single mothers, or the, I'll say, fatherless homes. Those children face a much more of a difficult time through life. One, they don't get to see what a dad looks like in a household, and they don't get to see what a wife and a mother is inside the context of a marriage. And so what we have today in society is that because people are electing to have sex outside of marriage, they're more likely to get a divorce than as opposed to the people that did not have sex before marriage, because they're not looking at it as a position of that I have someone to compare it to. So I would ask the question, what is your premise of what you hold as it relates to how you position your thought process? Are you coming from a
About this topic, I like say if I was what I would tell my children or the people coming up behind me about
no
this
sir,
topic.
no
What?
sir, like what is what source are you citing? Like what is your foundation to get your position?
Um, More so being open minded and understanding is probably my position more than anything. You know,
Okay.
because I will say that, you know, of course you will want your daughter to be a virgin, you know, but you probably want your son to go out there and do their thing. You know, everybody has a different prerogative on how they want to get down. But me being a growing up as a young man, I just can't be a naive parent based off of my personal experiences and the experiences of others. So as soon as my son, you know, becomes a man, I'm gonna already off top think that he's already thinking about doing it. You know, period. No matter what I say, no matter what I hold, you know, close to me, no matter what I teach him, because I know how the temptation can be of a man, you know, wanting to have sex with a woman, you know,
Right.
or has the urge to have sex with a woman. Like that started wars, that killed people, that had men
All right, Sean,
accomplish
your
great
time is
things
up,
in the
Sean.
world. Okay.
Time is
I
up.
didn't even
All
see
right.
the time. My bad.
Yeah, you can go ahead and clarify with Humble Dad if you got any questions, anything, man. 1 minute.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So
No,
what I
no, it's on Sherm now.
okay, go ahead.
What did you want me to say, bro?
Is there any questions or any clarification you needed from Humble Dad?
Oh
Anything you got
yeah.
1 minute?
Oh yeah. So how was it personally for you growing up and what you've seen when it comes to like sex? Were you like one of those guys that did and then got married later? Or where's your stance on that personally?
Me personally, I did it wrong. The information that I had, I was raised by a single mother. Um, I lost my virginity late in high school. So for me, it was that not until I learned discipline and understanding the value of myself as well as women, then my mindset changed. And so I think that if you're under the position of where you want your child to um, be healthy and value themselves, sex should be the premise of what that, but men and women, that it's valuable to both of them, and not try to teach two different terminologies or two different doctrines to the people inside your house. I would say that that causes a lot of confusion, and it also it teaches women to be like, okay, well, you got to be pure, but it's like, okay, who is this guy having sex with? If you're saying that he can go get it, so it really is a disconnect between philosophies.